Hello everyone, good morning. Our topic for today is all about benchmarking and change management in Chapter 9. But before that, I would like to introduce my co-reporters. I'm Giselle J. Agudo, and this is Samantha Antonio and Christine Ampo. So I would like to discuss the benchmarking and change management. The process of measuring key business metrics and practices and comparing them within business areas or against our competitor, industry peers, or other components around the world to understand how and where the organization needs to change in order to improve performance. Only in regard to existing standards can improvement be made to products, services, and processes. These advancements are then implemented into new standards. Benchmarking is the one of the most transferable components of Rank Xerox approach to total quality management. Is a ruthless method of comparing an organization, operation, products, and services to those of its rivals and is said to have originated in Japan. It is the way to set goals, priorities, and strategies that will provide you a competitive advantage. There are many drivers for benchmarking, included external and internal. In external, customers continually demand better quality, lower prices, shorter lead times, and etc. The lower price, shorter lead times, it helps a new product or service penetrate the market and attract the customers away from competitors. Second, competitors are constantly trying to get ahead and steal markets. Some competitors want to get ahead and steal markets because they know how this is the way to make as a result for the reduces profit potential for all firms. And last is legislation. Changes in our laws place ever greater demands for improvement. It has changing expectation of the legal system, changes in international relation and management. So in internal include targets which required improvement on our best ever performance. The better people can multitask, meet deadlines, and manage their time, the more productive they will be at work. Good time management skills can also make their job less stressful, providing them with more time to work on project and career development opportunities they are passionate about. If they can get on that target day, it will improve their performance. Second is technology. A fundamental change in process and often required to benefit fully from introducing new technologies. It will easier, faster, and more effective communication, more efficient manufacturing techniques, and less wasted. So last is self-assessment result, which provide opportunities to learn from adapting best practices. A good self-assessment should point to specific tasks and projects that highlight to the best work. It describing those accomplishment, employees, and management. The word benchmark is a reference or measurement standard used for comparison, and benchmarking is the continuous process of identifying, understanding, and adapting best practice and processes that will lead to superior performance. So the example for this is the panacea to cure organization problems but simply a practical tool to drive up process performance. It is primarily a cost reduction exercise, although many benchmarking studies will result in improved financial performance. Industrial tourism, the study tours have their place, but proper benchmarking goes beyond tourism to really understanding two outstanding result and spying used for benchmarking code of conduct ensures that the work is done with the agreement and openness of all parties. Catching up with the best, it is the aim to reach out and extend the current best practice. By the time we have got off of the benchmark, we'll have moved anyway. So there are many reasons for carrying out benchmarking. Some of them are set against various objectives in Table 9.1. The links between the benchmarking and TQM are clear establishing objectives based industry best practice should directly contribute to better meeting the internal and external customer requirements. So the benefits of benchmarking, it's a creating a better understanding of the current position. It's heightening sensitive to change customer needs, encouraging innovation, developing realistic stretch goals, establishing realistic action plans. The American Productivity and Quality Center provides an open standards benchmarking service that was launched in 2004. The database contains more than 1,200 standardized measures spanning people, process, and technology. The same source can identify the average return from benchmarking is typically 5 times. The cost of the study in terms of reduced cost is increased sales, greater customer retention enhanced and market share. In table 9.1, reason for benchmarking. There's our objectives without benchmarking and with benchmarking. In objectives, it is a becoming competitive industry, best practices defining customer requirements. It also establishing effective goals and objectives developing true measures of productivity. If they have a without benchmarking, internally focused evolutionary change or few solution, frantic catch up activity. Based on history or gut feeling, perception, it is lacking external focus reactive. Pursuing pet project, strength and weaknesses not understood root of least resistance. If they have with benchmarking, it caused can understanding of competitiveness, ideas from proven practices, many options superior performance, market reality, objective evaluation, credible and arguable, proactive solving real problems, understanding outputs based on industry best practices. On table 9.1, this is the main reason for benchmarking. If without benchmarking, some all are lacking for external without the focus to manage. They not understood how it is be a serious. If they have a benchmarking, everyone they knows how to apply on each management to see the result of industry. So there are the four basic categories of benchmarking. First is internal. Internal is the search for the best practice of internal operation by comparison. The example for this is multi-site comparison of polymerization process and the performance. So the second is functional. It's a seeking functional best practice outside in industry. Example for this is mining company benchmarking. It is a preventative maintenance of pneumatic hydraulic equipment with Disney. Third is generic. It is a comparison of outstanding process irrespective of industry or function. The example of generic is a restaurant chain benchmarking kitchen design with US is nuclear submarine fleet to improve restaurant to kitchen space ratios. Last is competitive. Competitive is a specific competitor to competitor comparison for a product, service, or a function of competitor of interest. Example is a retail outlets comparing price performance and efficiency of internet ordering systems. So the next is the purpose and practice of benchmarking. The evolution of benchmarking an organization is likely to progress through four the focuses. Initially, attention may be concentrated on competitive products or services, including, for example, design, development, and operational features. This should develop into a focus on industry best practices and may include, for example, is aspects or distribution of service. The real breakthrough are when organizations focus on all aspects of the in total business performance across all function and aspect and addresses current and projected performance gaps. This should lead to the focus on the processes and true continuous improvement. And it simply is competitive benchmarking. The most common form requires every department function process to examine itself against the counterpart in the best competing companies. This is include of all aspects of their activities. For example, product of service quality and consistency, correct and on-time delivery, speed of response or new product development, correct billing, and for internal impact, waste reject or errors, inventory levels work in progress, cost of operation, and staff turnover. The task is to work out what has to be done, improve on the competition performance in each of the chosen area. Benchmarking is every important in the administration areas, since it is continuously measures services and practice against the equivalent operation in the top nest direct competitors organization re-owned as leaders in the areas, even if they are in the same organization. Technologies and conditions vary between different industries and markets, but the basic concept of measurement and benchmarking are of general validity. The objective should be to produce products and services that conform to the requirements of the customer and never-ending improvement environment. The way to accomplish this is to use continuous improvement cycle in the all operating departments. Nobody should be exempt. Benchmarking is not separate science or unique theory of management, but rather another strategic approach to getting the best out of people and process to deliver improved performance. So as can you see, table 9.2 quantitative benchmarking in absenteeism. Organization productivity opportunity absence lever percent. Under 3, this level matches an aggressive benchmark that has been achieved in excellent organization. Under 3 to 4, this label may be viewed with the organization as a good performance or representing a moderate productivity opportunity improvement. 5 to 8, this label is tolerated by many organizations but represent a major improvement opportunity. 9 to 10, this level indicates that a serious absenteeism problem exists. Over 10, this level of absenteeism is extremely high and requires immediate senior management attention. In table 9.2, it will be said that can indicate problems within the workforce of organization management. So, there are the purpose of benchmarking. First is the change the perspective of executive and managers. Third is compare business practices with those of world-class organization, challenges the current practices and processes, and create improvement goals and practices for the organization. As a managed process for change, benchmarking uses as disciplined structured approach to identify what needs to change, how it can be changed, and the benefits of the change. It also creates the desire of change in the first place. Any process or practice that can be defined can be benchmarked, but the focus should be on those which impact on customer satisfaction and or business result, financial or non-financial. For organization, we, ha- we have not carried out benchmarking before. It may be useful initially to carry out on a simple self-assessment of the readiness of term. In the first dot, how well processes are understood. Second dot, how much customers are listened to. And third dot, how committed to the senior team is. In organization, it describes how it will understand and how customers listen, and for the senior team, how to build organization. In Table 9.3, it provides a simple pro forma for this purpose. The score derived gives a crude guide to the readiness of the organization for benchmarking. 32 to 48 is ready for benchmarking. 1631 is some further preparation required before the benefits of benchmarking can be fully derived. 04 to 15, some help is required to establish the foundation and suitable platform for benchmarking. In Table 9.3 is the organization ready for benchmarking. They will see how to know which is the most, some, few, and none for about to reflect every statement. The benchmarking process has 5 main stages where are all focused on trying to measure, comparison, and identifying areas for action and change in Figure 9.1. Plan study. it's the select processes for benchmarking. Bring together the appropriate team to the involve and establish rules and responsibilities. Identify and define benchmark and measures for data collection. Identify the best competitors or operators of the processes, perhaps using customers' feedback or industry observers. Last is document the current processes. Plan study is the process to identify how it goes the management of every benchmark of the business using the customer's feedback. So in collect data information. It's a decide information and data collection with methodology including this research. And figure 9.1 the benchmarking methodology. Plan is initial research record current performance. It's a record current performance levels is identify benchmarking partners, it conduct preliminary investigation, prepare for any site visit and interact with target organization, use chosen data collection methodology and carry out site visit. Collect, identify the benchmark partners or site visit. Analyze is identify best practices and identify enablers. Analyze the data information is a normalize the performance data as appropriate, construct a matrix to compare current performance with benchmarking competitors or partners' performance. It is identifying outstanding practices and isolate and understand the process as well as the performance measures. Fourth is adapt. Share best practice learning, adapt and implement the best practice. The catalog the information and create a competency profile of the organization. It is develop new performance level objectives, targets, and standards. Vision alternative processes incorporating best practice and identify and minimize the barriers to change. We develop action plans to adapt and implement best practices, make process change, and achieve goals. The last is implement specific action and integrate them into organization. Review is a post-completion of review. Review performance in the study is a monitor the result improvements, assess outcomes or learnings from the study, review the benchmark, share experience and best practice learners from implementation, review relationship with target or partners organization, and identify the further opportunities for improving and sustaining performance. And benchmarking is a study involves several organizations. The study will commence with a plan phase. It is participate will be invited to kick off a meeting where they will share their aspiration and objectives for the study and establish rules and responsibilities. The participants will analyze their own organization to understand and strength and areas for improvement. They will then agree appropriate measures for the study. In the collect phase, participants will collect data on their current performance based on the agreed measures. The benchmarking partners will be identified using the suitable screening process and the key learning points will be shared. The site visit will then be planned and conducted with appropriate training. 5 to 7 site visit might be take place in a study. And that's all of my report.
Everyone, my name is Samantha Antonio. So, my report is all about, or my task is all about the rule of benchmarking and change. So, one aspect of benchmarking is enable organization to gauge how well they are performing against others who undertake similar tasks and activities. This new knowledge will result in the benchmarking team being able to judge the gap between leading and less good performance as well as planning considered action to bring about change to bridge the gap. These changes may be things that can be undertaken quickly with little adaptation and a minimum of cost and disruption. Such changes often brought about by the affected operational team are often called quick wins. This type of change is incremental and carries low levels of risk, but usually lower levels of benefits. Benchmarking enables managers to determine what are the best practices, to prioritize opportunities for improvement, to enhance performance relative to customer expectation, and to leapfrog the traditional cycle of change. Example, in customer satisfaction and retention will provide its participants with data and ideas on how excellent organization undertake their activities and demonstrate best practice that may be adapted and used. As you can see in the figure, quick wins are clearly an important weapon in effecting change but must be followed up properly to deliver sustainable business improvement through the adoption of best or at least good practice. The changes needed to do this will usually be of a more fundamental nature and requires investment in efforts and money to implement. Such changes will need to be carefully planned and systematically implemented as the discrete change project or program of project. They carry substantial risk if not systematically managed and controlled, but they have the potential for significant improvement in performance. This type of change projects are sometimes preferred to as step change or breakthrough projects slash programs. Next is a key ingredient of success is taking the people along. A first-class communication strategy required throughout and beyond any change activities, as well as the link activities of shareholder management. The benchmarking efforts need to fit into the change model deployed, such a framework in proposal in the figure. Many change models exist in diagrammatic form and are often in both intended structure so similar such as model may be considered as the footprint that will lead the chosen destination, in this case, and desired performance improvement through adoptions of the best practice. The footprint in the figure demonstrate where benchmark activities link to general flow of change activities leading to a better result. The success and benefits derived from a benchmark and change related activities are directly related to the excellence of the preparation. It is necessary to consider both the hard and soft aspects represented in the figure and to systematically plan to meet and overcome any difficulties and challenges identified. So as you can see in the figure, you need to know what are they desired and need to change. Next is choose and prioritize activities to change. Next is baseline current performance of activities. You need to deliver quick wins from benchmark studies. Define desired future performance of the activities. Quantify performance gaps and blocks to closing. Develop actions to close performance gap. Undertake, undertake change projects. Lastly is measure performance improvements progress. That is the change footprint. And you need to also use how what you need to also use the benchmarking process. So they have 5 steps. So you need to plan. You need a planning studies. Next is collect data, analyze data, and adapt and review. Next is communicating, managing stakeholders, and lowering barriers. So, the importance of first-class communication during benchmarking and resulting change can be overemphasized. A vital element of excellent communication is targeting the right audience with the right message in the right way and the right time. So, the element of successful stockholders management should include: first is you need to identify and mapping the stockholders groupings. Next is analyzing and prioritizing these groupings. Next is researching the key players in the most important groupings. Next is developing a management strategy. Next is deploying the strategy by tactical actions. Next is reviewing effectiveness of the strategy and improving the future. So, how can we lower barriers in communication? So, next is first is you need to check whether it's a good time and place to communicate with the person. Next is you need to be clear and using language that the person understands. Next is communicating one thing at a time, respecting a person's desire not to communicate. Next is you need to checking that the person has understood you correctly. So that's all. Thank you.
I'm Christine Ampo. My assigned topic is choosing benchmarking driven change activities wisely. So, as we have seen, benchmarking studies should fuel the desire to undertake change activities. But the excitement generated can allow the desire for change to take on a life of its own, and irrational and impractical decision can follow. This can result in full or partial failure to deliver the desired changes and waste of the valuable financial and people resources spent on the benchmarking itself. So organizations should resist the temptation to start yet another series of improvement initiatives without any consideration of their impact upon existing initiative and the business as usual. So activities as well as the overall strategy, of course. It is important to target the change wisely, and a number of key questions need to be answered, including performance. So table 9.4 shows a simple decision-making tool to help consider the opportunities that are presented. The process may be viewed as a series of filters. It is assumed that the organization has defined business goals. Work to improve quality or business management system or QBMS benefits from the. So table 9.4 shows a simple decision-making tool to help consider the opportunities that are presented. The process may be viewed as a series of filters. It is assumed that the organization has defined business goals. Work to improve quality or business management system or QBMS benefits from the use of benchmarking. This includes perhaps making the BMS more process based than previously and better use of web based technology. Benchmarking studies in various sectors have provided insight on, for example, the potential for new technology to radically change existing broadcasting processes. Benchmarking should be an integral part of each process re-engineering project that is undertaken. The external perspective provided by the benchmarking studies help employers see how things could be different and provide valuable input to the step required to implement new processes. So, benchmarking and change management. The drivers of change are everywhere, but properly conducted systematic benchmarking studies can assist in defining clear objectives and help their effective deployment through well executed change management. Best practices benchmarking and change management clearly are bedfellows. If well understood and integrated, they can deliver lasting improvements in performance, which satisfy all stakeholders' needs. Benchmarking is an efficient way to promote effective change by learning from the successful experiences of others and putting that learning to good effect. So, a framework for organizational change. Based on research carried out by the European Centre for Business Excellence and from other sources, an organizational change framework has been developed by the author of his colleagues. This is a powerful aid for organizations wishing to undertake any change program or who in the processes of delivering change and want to increase their chances of success. It identifies two main constructs of change management, which can be better understood within the overall framework for change as shown in Figure 9.4. Based on the results of the research, the change framework has two interacting cycles: the readiness for change and the implementing change. The experiences of many organizations that have launched change programs, such as Lean, Six Sigma, or a combination of the two, or wish to implement change following benchmarking, is that the first part, readiness, is often not at all well understood or developed. This can be caused by a desire to rush into implementation, with huge emphasis on training programs and projects without particular attachment to strategy. The implementation of change is a rich tapestry of potential failure, a minefield for the unsuspecting. Worse than that, most managers tend to find they have entered the minefield at the wrong point, trying to change behaviors. For example, is a frequent starting point for many change programs, which will include such matter as attitudes and empowerment, without bidding these things in the reality which is the business. Also, Figure 9.4, the organizational change framework. To break into the top circle, we need to start with the drivers of change. It is important to understand what are the key drivers for change inside or outside the organization, in order that we need for change may be understood and articulated to focus the stakeholders' desire for change. This is where leaders give meaning to the change, without which, as many organizations later discover, initial enthusiasm and energy quickly dissolves. For example, what were the drivers for the introductions of digital technology into BBC World Service? Reduce costs, better program reception, more effective program reading. Good output from the need for change stage will focus the stakeholders' desire for change. Clarity on this is key, as from the derives clear and consistent leadership and director to turn the need into expectations, vision, goals, measured objectives, and targets, which will set the expectation for change. Robust planning then allows the priorities to emerge and focuses people's minds on the strategic objectives. So, Figure 9.5, Carbon Reduction Strategy using Figure 8 Change Framework. First is understanding the need for change, developing strategy and realistic objectives.
So in figure 9.4, the organizational change framework. As you can see the table, the drivers of change are everywhere, but properly conducting systematic benchmarking, studies can assist in defining clear objectives and help their effective deployment through will executive change management. Best practice benchmarking and change management clearly are bedfellows if well understood and integrated. They can deliver lasting improvement in performance, which satisfy all stakeholder needs. Benchmarking as an efficient way to promote effective change by the learning from the successful experience of others and putting that learning to good effect. Figure 9.4 is following clarity on need, clear and unambiguous leadership, direction, and good detailed planning. The first port of call must be the organizational processes in which people live and work, whether we like it or not, and whether have worked them out or not. The process drive the way the organization and resources work, the structure rules, competencies, and resource deployed. Performance measures and technology then support the organization's system and controls. This is where behavior comes in all of above drivers' behavior, the way the organization is structured, Who my boss is how I am measured. The process and system, good or bad, that I live work in. When managers talk about attitude of the people and their assumption, it might be interesting for them to understand where this come from. Attitudes stem from belief and values, both which are management responsibility to influence. Most people start work for organization with positive attitude and behavior. It is frequently the system, the environment, and the assumption of unwritten rules that cause problems and deterioration. The figures of eight clauses, when we return the process, for it is our behavior which makes the process work or not, resulting in achievement in quality and on-time delivery or not, and reinforcing the change or not.
So figure 9.5, carbon reduction strategy using figure 8 change framework. First is understanding the need for change, developing strategy and realistic objectives. Second is developing the right end-to-end business process for the low carbon economy. Third is the successfully deploying new technologies, management system, and behavior for operational excellence. And last is bringing 1, 2, and 3 together to address specific non-discretionary needs, the carbon reduction commitment or the CRC. So the need for change is external events, energy cost, customers and indigenation, reputation, physical environment. Following clarity on need, clear and ambiguous leadership, direction, and good detailed planning, the first port of call must be the organizational processes in which people live and work, whether we like it or not and whether we have worked them out or not. The processes drive the way the organization. So figure 9.6 carbon reduction aspects mapped onto figure of 8 framework. So these are the leadership capabilities, stakeholders engagement, carbon stream mapping, implementation plan, carbon briefing, performance management, third-party verification, carbon training and offsetting, utility metering, low carbon technology, legislation watch, carbon footprint assessment, and goal alignment. The figure of 8 closes when we return to the process of it is our behavior, which makes the processes work or not, resulting in achieving in quality and on time delivery or not, and reinforcing the change or not. Taking another trip round the figure of 8 will verify the change protocols and ensure that encourage to the strategy and maintain. So this is the overall processes of readiness for change and implementing change.
And so, that's all our reporting for today. Thank you for listening and God bless.